Hello, everyone. Welcome back to What's the Word? Today I'm joined by Lily Davis. Thank you, Lily, for joining me today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So, would you be able to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I graduated in May of 24 from the Prescott campus, currently working at the university in our philanthropy and alumni department.
Heck yeah. So, what was your major and your favorite memory here at Riddle?
I was a forensic biology major, obviously not doing that anymore. And my favorite memory, I think a lot of it comes from my freshman year during COVID. Even though we couldn't go in other people's dorms and, I had plexiglass on the tables,
Really?
somehow brought us all together even closer. Wow. And whether or not we went in dorms or not, I'm not going to confirm nor deny.
That's 4 or 5 years ago now, huh?
Yep, almost 6.
Well, 6 years ago, yeah.
So that's probably one of my more fun memories. Did a lot of things I would not do now. So
Fair enough. Would you be able to tell me a little bit more about that time period? I was still in high school at the time, but I'm curious how it was here.
It was pretty interesting. So when we moved in, we didn't get an orientation. So I think I showed up on Saturday, moved in. I had a 2-hour move-in period with my mom. Kind of just dropped everything in my dorm, and then she dipped.
What?
And then that Sunday before classes started, we sat in a room for 8 hours, all separated, and that was our orientation.
8 hours.
Yeah, it was pretty wild time. And then every day before classes, you had to go get a temperature check, and on your Eagle ID card, you got little stickers for each day. And so people initially they started with like one color, but then they started changing the color daily because students would just go buy that sticker.
No way.
So it was like the hubs were at like the student union, Earhart's, everything, and then you would also like see how many you could get stacked on your ID card. I was gonna ask, yeah. And it got to the point where you couldn't swipe your cards anymore because people's stacks were so large. So it was pretty interesting, and then we had hybrid classes, so your class was kind of like split in two, so you would go one day to class, and then the next time you were on virtually, and the other people would go, and then Fridays were always virtual.
I gotcha. Virtual, like Zoom call or Teams call?
Yeah, it was usually Zoom at this point.
Yeah.
And then finals, actually, we went home at Thanksgiving, and all of our finals were online. Oh, wow. So we went home at the end of November and then didn't come back till January.
Wow. What a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always hated the Thanksgiving a week back, finals, and then gone.
Yeah, exactly. It was really weird going back sophomore year and doing that.
So you mentioned you're currently in the Office of Philanthropy. Would you be able to tell me a little about that?
Yeah, so my job itself is administrative coordinator, and when I graduated, I had planned to actually use my degree, and then I realized I kind of didn't want to. And that's kind of something you figure out after you graduate, not when you're in school. And so I do a lot of meeting with donors, not in the way that I'm soliciting for money, but rather just kind of showing them around campus. I have that student experience, so I do that. Checks that come in, so that all gets processed through me. Make sure the people in Daytona get all the information they need when checks come in.
Yeah.
I work a lot with our VP and just Daytona in general, so I do a 7-to-4 schedule. Kind of makes it easier to work with Daytona. But I also work with the Worldwide campus a lot too.
Wow. Now, what's your favorite part about it?
I like getting to talk to people. Everyone has their own different story. And so yesterday I was with an alumni from actually the Daytona Beach campus with his company here for the career fair, Label Box. And he originally started as a pilot on the Daytona Beach campus and switched to engineering. And then went to Boeing for a couple years and then created his own company, and now is, I think, reached over $1 billion. And
wow.
income. So it's pretty kind of cool. But then you get your other ones that are off in the airlines.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Just talking to people, you meet new people every day kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Now, how do you tie writing into this? Do you have lots of documentation?
Yeah, so when we have a donation that comes in, and if it's a large gift, so a major gift, we generally, if they're trying to make a scholarship out of that, so any scholarship students apply through the university, we have to write a gift agreement. And so we have standard language we use, and so you have to go through and make sure everything meets a certain standard, and eventually it goes up to the legal and everyone in basically the leadership position in the president's office. So I'm usually doing all that. I do a lot of one-pagers, so for information for donors if they just want to come in, especially working with student groups. Right now we're working on a one-pager that can be given to student groups to give to companies or people in the community that are interested in donating and how they go about that. So
I gotcha.
Yeah.
You mentioned large gifts. What's like the different, I guess, buckets, if you will, if you could talk about that.
So within philanthropy, at least in our office, you generally have a couple different ones. We have planned giving, which is anybody that is older and their estate, they sign over to Embry-Riddle when they die, and so then their money is donated in their honor, basically. So those are generally very large gifts. They're less frequent as other gifts.
Yeah.
Major gifts, I don't remember the exact number, but it's usually over $25K in like a single gift, or over $50K depending on the fundraiser themselves.
Yeah.
You have your annual giving, which is kind of like those smaller donations throughout the year. That kind of, like, I personally give to College of Arts and Science Fund, so that my $1 of my paycheck is part of the annual fund in those numbers.
Okay.
And then philanthropy councils fall under that, because anyone that's on a philanthropy council for students pays to be a part of it, and that's how those student projects are funded.
Okay.
So that also falls under annual giving.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So like the donor scholarships kind of in there somewhere as well, or is that separate?
So depending on, we have endowed scholarships, which are over $50K for making that donation, and then you have a current use, which is a smaller one, and so that one, I believe the minimum is around $5K-ish. So it kind of depends on which one you do. So it kind of turns out like that.
Interesting. It's very interesting. Now, your major's forensic bio.
Yes.
Were you able to take a lot of skills from that to your position now within writing, or just in general?
Writing is a little bit different. In biology, it's a lot of lab writing, and so it needs to be pretty simple language, which I use pretty frequently within my work. But also the writing of, kind of in a legal standpoint, I got very used to, there's certain ways, if you have the wrong information on a page, you have to write it just one single line through it. And so that has kind of helped me in like working, especially with like legal stuff when it comes to like our gift agreements and stuff like that. So it kind of has transferred in that way, but also with forensic biology, we've had some psychology classes that go with that. And so kind of just also being able to read people and like emailing them and how I should respond.
I gotcha.
So, yeah.
Very nice. I'm glad that you had some takeover. Now, kind of transitioning again here, what were some things you wish you would have known before leaving Embry-Riddle and transitioning to where you are now? Well, I guess not leaving Embry-Riddle, but transitioning to working at Embry-Riddle from being a student.
I think my biggest thing coming out of school is I would have told myself it doesn't matter if I'm not using my degree. I always had the viewpoint of I need to get a STEM degree and I'm going to go do that for the rest of my life. And when I graduated, I realized that's not what was making me happy if I did that. And so I kind of realized where my true passions were. And when I first came back to Riddle, it kind of felt more like I hadn't succeeded, rather that I just came back here because I had no other options, but I actually did have other options, and I actually took this job over another job.
Yeah.
And I think I just tell myself that, like, there is a path, and, like, I'm very big on whatever happens, kind of happens. It is what it is. So kind of just, like, don't care what happens. Like, it will all work out in the end.
Yeah. So. Did you have a transitional period from when you graduated to when you were working here, or?
Kind of. So I graduated in May, and then I started this job in August.
Okay.
And so for that summer, I was with my parents, and I was just applying for jobs back and back. But it was also a very tough summer because my grandfather passed in January, and so his funeral was that summer up in Wyoming. And then my uncle actually passed away on the same day as my grandpa's funeral. And so that summer was a little bit of a rough patch, also just mentally. So kind of dealing with all that. And then I had job interviews on the day of my grandpa's funeral because they would not move that around for some reason. And I'm just really glad I didn't get that job, actually.
Cheers. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you. So it was definitely a struggle, but then I had applied for a job at the Highland Center here in Prescott.
Yeah.
And I was going to be working with children, which is very opposite of what my job is now. And they had offered me that job, but then weirdly enough, I took that offer, and then the next day Riddle wanted to do an interview.
Oh.
And I, like, speed ran this job interview process.
Yeah.
And the day I would have started my other job, I was actually on a plane to Daytona.
Oh, wow.
Not even fully hired because they wanted me to be at their retreat for the department.
Wow.
And so they bought me a plane ticket to Florida, and I was there within the next week.
Wow. Dang, look at you.
So, that was a very fast period, but I enjoy fast-moving stuff.
So, kind of ending things off, we'd like to ask a final question.
Yeah.
So, what advice, if you were to come back and be able to talk to coming into a freshman, Lily Davis, what would you say, and what advice would you have?
Not that I, took things very seriously when I first came in, but kind of just go with the punches. I did a lot of different things while I was a student, so freshman year me would not expect myself to be here, but everything I did to get there was always worth it. That's probably what I'd say.
Yeah, that's some good advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast and in person. And I hope you have such a fantastic rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Awesome.
This podcast is supported by the Department of Humanities and Communication at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Prescott, Arizona. Our hosts and producers are Owen Smith and Leah Little. I'm Amelia Chesley, Assistant Professor of Professional Writing. Many thanks to the Prescott Campus Writing and Design Lab for hosting our transcripts. The intro and outro music is Wanderer by Alex. You can find us where most podcasts are found. And if you are a Prescott Campus alum, please reach out so we can feature you in a future episode.